Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's had a pretty okay week so far. So, for this discussion, our question is based upon this week's readings, discuss why you would advocate for more or less mental health funding and resources in the schools. Um, so, I did not realize until reading the article as well as the chapter 8 of the book that school social workers actually brought in a lot of funding for schools, especially for the mental health services that they provide. With that being stated, I would have to argue for more mental health funding and resources in schools. Per the article that we was assigned to read for this week, the school social work and mental health funding, social workers is one of the main sources for you to be able to get mental health access. So they're able to do that while they're in school, which helps the parents with busy working schedules or lack of transportation and etc. Without our school social workers advocating for the funding and the resources, they would lack that mental health service, and we would probably end up seeing an increase in depression, anxiety, and even possibly suicide. So, as I'm learning that social workers in school are pretty much the ones that deals with all the problems that kids are having, whether it be bullying, whether it be homelessness, living in poverty, abusive home environments, or whatever it may be. These kids usually turn toward our school social worker to be able to count on. So, when our school social workers are looking via their assessments, the macro and micro assessments that the book talks about, and they're learning everything about these youth that they're working with in school, they're able to use all of their assessments and their knowledge to be able to resource out to community providers to come into the school or come into the home to assist the children even further than what it would be if we didn't have school social workers with that knowledge. They're able to work with Medicaid as well as other types of insurances to help these kids to ensure that they're getting the mental health services that they need during school hours, and even if they need anything additional after school hours. I think it's extremely important that we continue to advocate for more mental health funding because when social workers advocate for that mental health funding, it helps make our schools a better, safer, and more supportive environment for each one of these youth that the social workers are encountering. It allows the students to be able to handle every day-to-day issues that's in their life because these social workers are setting up the tools for them to be able to do so. They're giving them the coping skills. They're giving them positive interactions for them to be able to learn to deal with things a little bit easier. Because at the end of the day, these kids and their mental health and them living a safe life is what really matters. And when we put them at focus, that's what's going to build our relationships, and that's what's going to end up making a difference in these children's lives. So, pushing for more funding and more resources to help our youth is exactly what needs to happen. There can never be too many resources to provide for our youth. I know we have several youth that utilize as school social workers in schools with my juvenile justice caseload, and they've helped families in so many different ways get in home services. Children get into non custodial residential treatment centers until they're on the correct medications. or even just being a extra ear to listen to these kids about what's going on, just being that mentor that they need to be able to build better skills moving forward. I just didn't know that before reading all this that it was up to our social workers to be able to advocate for this funding beyond just speaking to children and families, that they may end up even having to go all the way to Congress to advocate for more funding. So I just think that's absolutely amazing that we're able to do that. All right, guys. Hope you liked my spiel. Thank you.